I believe that leaders must tell the truth. I believe that leaders should be able to laugh at themselves. I believe leaders must care for and love the people they are leading. I believe leaders must possess knowledge and expertise, but with the full awareness that none of us has all the answers.
Why Steve Kerr isn't backing down from speaking out against Trump. Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr says he understands that public political activism ebbs and flows, but even as many prominent sports figures have grown quieter in recent years, Kerr has continued to speak out, particularly against President Donald Trump's administration. In interviews and public appearances, Kerr has criticized Trump's policies, attended protests, and aligned himself with causes ranging from gun control to academic freedom. In doing so, he has become one of the most visible political voices currently active within the National Basketball Association. Kerr, 60, acknowledges that the broader wave of athlete activism that surged in 2020 has cooled. During that year, following the murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, NBA players knelt during the national anthem, wore social justice messages on their jerseys and, in one instance, refused to play a playoff game in protest of police violence. Courts featured Black Lives Matter messaging, and prominent players used their platforms to advocate for criminal justice reform. Today, that movement is less publicly visible. I do think there is less of a movement right now, Kerr said in a recent interview. These things tend to move in cycles. Kerr compared the current moment to the period following the Vietnam War protests, when the country experienced a relative lull in large-scale activism. He suggested that political fatigue may play a role. It felt like the country was exhausted, Kerr said. There was an era of peace where there was very little protest. I think about that sometimes in the current situation. While others have stepped back, Kerr has leaned in. Over the past year, he has attended public demonstrations, including a No Kings rally in San Francisco. He has worn apparel signaling solidarity with Harvard University amid disputes between the Trump administration and the institution over diversity initiatives. And he has continued his long-standing advocacy for gun reform. Kerr's political engagement is rooted in personal tragedy. In 1984, his father, Malcolm Kerr, then president of American University in Beirut, was assassinated outside his office. The loss profoundly shaped Kerr's views on violence and public policy. As his coaching career progressed, Kerr became more outspoken. He credits part of that influence to his time playing under Greg Popovich with the San Antonio Spurs. Popovich, an Air Force veteran, has frequently commented on political and social issues. Kerr's public activism intensified during the Warriors' 2016 NBA Finals run, when multiple mass shootings occurred, including the Pulse nightclub massacre in Orlando. He spoke emotionally about gun violence, drawing both praise and criticism. Rather than retreating in the face of backlash, Kerr deepened his involvement. He connected with Brady, the National Gun Control Organization that helped push for federal background checks on firearm purchases. Nearly a decade later, Kerr remains actively engaged with the group. Brady President Chris Brown has described Kerr as a consistent and serious advocate, noting his involvement in meetings and strategic discussions. Kerr's political engagement has extended beyond gun reform. In 2024, he delivered remarks at the Democratic National Convention. Months later, he publicly defended Harvard, praising what he called its willingness to stand up for academic freedom amid federal funding threats tied to diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. His comments drew criticism from some quarters, including former Warriors minority owner Chamath Palihapitiya, who publicly dismissed Kerr's stance. Assistant coach Ron Adams later defended Kerr, describing his sense of fairness and justice as deeply rooted. Those who work closely with Kerr say his political awareness is not new or performative. Adams, who joined Kerr's staff in 2014, said conversations within the organization frequently extend beyond basketball. The NBA has historically provided space for activism. In the 1960s, players such as Bill Russell and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar were outspoken on civil rights. That tradition resurfaced strongly in 2020. However, some observers argue that economic considerations now influence how freely athletes speak. Journalist Pablo Torre, speaking at a 2025 Human Rights Summit, suggested that financial calculations may temper activism. There is now this acknowledgement that we all have a number, Torre said, referencing the growing global commercialization of sports and international partnerships. League sources have pushed back on the notion that engagement has disappeared. One individual familiar with NBA advocacy efforts said players remain active behind the scenes, particularly through the National Basketball Social Justice Coalition, which reports multiple legislative victories since its founding in 2020. Still, the public tone has shifted. Kerr himself has occasionally chosen restraint. In 2019, he declined to weigh in on human rights issues in China amid questions about the NBA's business relationships there, drawing criticism from President Trump. More recently, when asked about concerns surrounding the league's partnerships with sports betting companies, Kerr offered a one-word response: no. But when it comes to Trump's domestic policies, Kerr has been direct. I disagree with everything Trump is doing pretty much, Kerr said. 2 days before the Warriors season opener this year, Kerr joined thousands of demonstrators along San Francisco's Embarcadero. Wearing a cap and sunglasses, he blended into the crowd but did not conceal his presence. He frames his activism not as partisan performance, but as civic duty. It's my responsibility as a citizen to take part, Kerr said. It's not saying words in an interview, it's actually showing up. As the NBA season progresses, Kerr continues balancing basketball and public engagement. The Warriors remain focused on competition, roster development and playoff positioning. Yet their head coach remains among the league's most politically vocal figures. Whether broader athlete activism resurges remains uncertain. For now, Kerr appears comfortable occupying a more solitary position. I'm still just coaching my team and living my life, he said. But I do think it's important, since I have this platform, to speak up for things I believe in and for people who maybe don't have that platform. In a league shaped by both global commerce and a legacy of activism, Kerr's voice stands as a reminder that, even as movements ebb, some individuals choose to continue speaking.
And I watch this guy, Steve Kerr, and he was like a little boy. He was so scared to be even answering the question. He couldn't answer the question. He was shaking. I don't know. He didn't know how to answer the question. And yet he'll talk about the United States very badly. I watched Popovich, sort of the same thing, but he didn't look quite as scared, actually. But they talk badly about the United States, but when it talks about China, they don't want to say anything bad. I thought it was pretty sad, actually.
President Donald Trump has responded sharply to recent public comments made by Steve Kerr, escalating a growing political back and forth between the former commander-in-chief and the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. In a statement released through his campaign channels and later amplified during a rally appearance, Trump criticized Kerr for what he described as reckless political commentary and accused the NBA coach of stepping outside his lane. He should focus on basketball, not politics, Trump said, drawing applause from supporters. The former president argued that sports figures who publicly criticize national leadership risk dividing fans and distracting from the game. Kerr, a longtime critic of Trump's rhetoric and policies, had previously spoken out about the former president's leadership style and its impact on American democracy. The coach has been vocal on social and political issues in the past, often addressing topics ranging from gun control to voting rights during press conferences and public interviews. Trump, in his response, defended his record while in office, pointing to what he called economic growth and national strength during his administration. He also suggested that professional sports leagues have lost a lot of viewers due to political messaging, a claim he has made repeatedly in recent years. While he did not reference specific ratings data, Trump maintained that fans prefer sports to remain separate from partisan debate. The exchange underscores a broader trend of political engagement by high-profile figures in professional athletics. Under Kerr's leadership, the Warriors have been one of the most successful franchises of the past decade, capturing multiple championships and maintaining a strong national profile. That visibility has amplified Kerr's voice beyond basketball. Neither the NBA nor the Warriors organization immediately issued a formal response to Trump's remarks. League officials have historically defended the right of players and coaches to express personal views, while emphasizing that such opinions do not represent the league as a whole. Political analysts say the public sparring reflects the continuing intersection between sports and politics in the United States, particularly as the country moves deeper into a heated election cycle. With Trump actively campaigning and Kerr continuing to speak openly on civic matters, further exchanges may be likely. For now, the latest remarks add another chapter to a long-running dynamic in which prominent sports leaders and political figures publicly challenge one another, a sign of how cultural influence and political debate remain closely intertwined in modern America.
And in fact, some of the best answers often come from members of the team. And if you look for those qualities in your friends or your boss or an employee or your child's teacher or your mayor, and shouldn't you want those same qualities in your president? After the results are tallied that night, we can, in the words of the great Steph Curry, we can tell Donald Trump, night, night.
As the war of words between Donald Trump and Steve Kerr continues to blur the lines between sports and politics, fans are left wondering, will this clash fuel deeper divisions, or will it only amplify the spotlight on the Golden State Warriors? And in the end, are Americans tuning in for basketball, the politics, or both? Drop what you think in the comment section and please don't forget to like and subscribe for more.